Now, VOA's Roger Muntu recently interviewed the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Therese Kayikwamba Wagner. In part 2 of our conversation with the minister, she responds to why Congo President Felix Tshisekedi is refusing to meet with regional leaders and what evidence supports her government's claims that Rwanda is fueling the conflict through the M23. Here is more of the interview we first brought you on Friday.
I want to be clear. There is a framework for the politically negotiated end of this conflict. It is the Rwanda process. If someone walked away from the framework in which, the existing framework, in which a political solution ought to be sought, it was President Kagame, who did not show up on 15th of December when we were supposed, we, the DRC, Rwanda, under the auspices of Angola, were supposed to sign a peace deal. So we want to reiterate the fact that the Rwanda process has been mandated by the African Union. Of course, there are efforts under sub-regional organizations, such as I think what you're alluding to being the East African Community. But we must, remember that there is a logic of subsidiarity. We must remember that the main process is the one that has been mandated by the African Union. In this regard, I also recall that in the Security Council, all members of the Security Council urged that all parties return to the Rwanda process.
My last question, Her Excellency, your government has repeatedly accused Rwanda in supporting the M23, with President Kagame denying, he denies any involvement at all. What concrete evidence, should we say, do you have, to support your claims?
The first one, our very own countrymen and countrywomen who are living under occupation of the Rwandan Defense Forces. They tell us that they are surrounded by Rwandans. That is the first one. The second one, think about, again, the last meeting of the United Nations Security Council, when most members of the Council denounced the presence of Rwandan forces. The declarations of the United Nations Security Council members, of individual countries, as well as of the EU, calling out on Rwanda to withdraw its troops. Thirdly, we have the United Nations Group of Experts report that spoke in December of at least 4,000 troops of the Rwandan Defense Forces present on DRC soil.
What do you see as the path forward to ending this crisis?
First of all, accountability. This crisis is not an isolated crisis. This crisis is the result of 30 years of impunity. Impunity, especially when it comes to President Kagame, who has been on a constant adventure to seek to continue to pillage the east of the DRC and its natural resources. So if we want to work towards sustainable peace in the Great Lakes region, there must be accountability to end this cycle of recurring violence. Second of all, we must all return to the negotiating table. And as I said before, the Rwanda process is the forum for that.
A few days ago, Rwandan President Paul Kagame reiterated that Rwanda is not backing the M23 rebels. Speaking with leaders of the East African community during a virtual emergency summit last week, Kagame said the rebels are Congolese and are not Rwandan.